What's going on, everyone? So, Zach Lavine, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James were seen hanging out together and sparked some rumors, some speculation, right? Last time we saw something like this was Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis were hanging out. I think it was at like a summer league game or something like that. And there was all this talk about like, hey, like what's going to happen? Are they going to team up? Like, are they just hanging out? Like, what's the deal? No, you got to trade for Russell Westbrook. I don't see that happening. And then all of a sudden, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, they go and they hang out at Anthony Davis's house, come up with the idea of like, hey, let's all play together. Let's team up and hang out and, try to go win a championship. And, well, the rest is history. We know how that worked. We know how that played out. We know it didn't work out great. But this isn't quite that situation. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if Zach Lavine ultimately does become a Laker at some point. He's wanted to go to Lakers. There was a ton of speculation this past trade deadline about him potentially going to the Lakers. The Lakers were interested in maybe acquiring him. I even was like, hey, I don't mind it. I don't hate the idea. Obviously, in hindsight, turns out it was a good thing because he ended up having to go have surgery. Now, how much of that was like he just didn't want to be a Piston, right? Because there's a lot of talk about the Detroit Pistons potentially coming in and swooping in on Zach Lavine. So he was kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go have surgery and get myself aligned. So something to keep in mind. But what this was it was a clutch, basically draft pro day where they were scouts and agents and all kinds of stuff, and there were guys basically preparing for the draft, and Bronny was one of them that was there. Again, clutch guys. That's why Zach Lavine, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, right? It was like a big clutch function. Now Zach Lavine is a part of clutch, and look, it is always possible that there's some level of dialect and conversation about like, hey, like I would love to team up with you guys, or like, hey, what's the deal here? And kind of sticking with the Zach Lavine thing, and of course I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments below. But obviously the Lakers, they have other targets in sight, right? Zach Lavine's probably the last player on their mind right now. Right? I mean, even DeMar DeRozan would be ideal. Again, like DeMar DeRozan was the guy I was preaching and wanted, like literally for like months, right? And then turns out, hey, Chicago's going to keep DeMar. They're not planning on trading him. He's off the table. That's when I positioned and was like, okay, well, if we can't get anyone else, Zach Lavine does make a lot of sense. And I still believe Zach Lavine makes a lot of sense. Again, not my preference. I would rather have, Donovan Mitchell, obviously, but there's talks about, hey, the Cavs don't want to trade Donovan Mitchell to the Lakers. So if that's the case, well, okay, he's probably off the table. Trae Young, a lot of people don't want Trae. A lot of people want the Lakers to stay as far away from Trae as possible because, one, they don't think it's a fit alongside LeBron James, which I have my questions about also. And, he doesn't play defense and all these things. He's undersized. He is only 25, so, long-term wise, he makes a lot of sense. But what if the Lakers can't land Trae? There's other teams that may be interested in Trae Young. I don't think the market for Trae is going to be very big, right? But it is possible. What if a San Antonio swoops in and picks him up? Now, maybe go get a DeJounte Murray. But if Atlanta ends up trading Trae, word is they only want to trade one. They don't necessarily want to trade both. So what if they do trade Trae somewhere else? And now you're limited. Now what? Are you just going to run it back with the same team and add a center or add something? I mean, you could, but are you realistically winning a championship? Like, Lakers still need that other guy. They need that consistency guy. And so if all else fails, maybe Zach Lavine is a piece that you can add. Maybe Zach Lavine is a guy that you can bring in. He probably wouldn't cost anything, right? I mean, obviously you have to match salaries and contracts, stuff like that, but I don't see him costing you this huge fortune, right? Like, to go get Trae, to go get Donovan Mitchell, guys like that, you're going to have to sell the farm for, right? You're going to give up all your draft picks, everything. Right? You're literally going to give up everything to go get that guy. Zach Lavine, you probably just got to match salaries. Right, because Chicago desperately wants to get rid of Zach Lavine. They've been pushing hard to get rid of Zach Lavine. The relationship is tarnished. Kobe White's emergence, right? They are basically like, hey, here, take Zach Lavine. So if you could get, like, if all else fails, again, there's a pecking order in my opinion, but like if everything else fails and Zach Lavine is like your worst option, I don't think that that's a bad option. And again, obviously there's concerns about, just his injury history, right? Can he stay healthy? This is a guy that, one, if he's your third option and he kind of just gets to focus on just being a bucket, which is what we need, how much wear and tear does he really have, right? It's different when you're the guy or you're the second guy, right? And you're having to work double time and you're having to, carry a team and whatnot. It's like you and DeMar DeRozan and you have to score basically 25 a game. Otherwise, like, you don't even have a chance to win. Where it's like, okay, if you're with LeBron and Anthony Davis, he doesn't have to do as much, right? Like, now he can just kind of focus and play the game that he's best at. He also wasn't very bad defensively. He actually had some pretty good defensive stats this previous year when he actually was bought in and engaging on that side. We saw him kind of take on a bit more of a playmaker role and a bit of a back seat when he returned before he went and had the surgery, right? So I don't hate the idea, especially if you can get it for essentially nothing, right? Especially if you could just kind of swap guys. Or what if you even did something where, D'Angelo Russell, you gave D'Angelo Russell an inflated 1-year deal. Right, especially my big thing about like getting a Zach Lavine is like if you don't have to give up any of your firsts, right? Like what if you get Zach Lavine for like 2 seconds, right? You trade it. They just want to clear the salary off their books. You could give D'Lo an inflated contract. You could give him like, whatever, a $36 million contract. Add in like a Jalen Hood-Schifino, give 2 seconds, and go get Zach Lavine, and you'd still have Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, these guys that you can now use to go trade, and you'd have picks. Like, what if you still could go get a DeJounte Murray? Right? What if you could get DeJounte and Zach Lavine with a Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis? That point, good luck. Again, to me, it depends on what is the cost, and what do you have to give up, and how can you make it work? If Chicago's like, hey, we just want to clear him off. We just want to get rid of his books, right? Like, we got to get off his money, right? Well, then that could be something that is a play. It's like, hey, we can help you with that, right? And again, Lakers are going to be over the cap regardless. So at that point, you don't really even care. If you could just if you could basically swap D'Lo with Zach Lavine and then still have all of your tradable assets to go make another move or two, right? Maybe you're happy with Zach Lavine. Maybe you, instead of going and, trading for whatever, maybe you go trade for like a Jared Allen or something, right? Like maybe you go get that center, right? Or maybe you go get like that other point guard. Maybe you are getting a Darius Garland or something if Donovan Mitchell lands in. Or maybe you get a DeJounte Murray. I wouldn't really want like a Trey, because technically you could still go get Trey if you did something like that, but I wouldn't want a Trey, like if you got a Zach Lavine, just because, again, defense purposes. But like DeJounte, I think makes a lot of sense, right? If you could end up landing DeJounte and pair DeJounte with Zach Lavine, have Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, you'd still be able to keep like Gabe Vincent on the bench. So you'd have like Gabe Vincent. Maybe you do bring in a Chris Paul. Maybe go like Chris Paul, Gabe Vincent, keep Taurean Prince. You got Christian Wood. You go bring in a Valanciunas, and let's go. Let's go win number 18, right? Because at that point, it's just health. You just need everyone to be healthy, right? But that would also, like, DeJounte could be the point guard. Zach Lavine could just be the bucket getter, right? You got LeBron, Anthony Davis. You take so much pressure off of each other, right? Like, you can make it work. It just, to me, again, it boils down to, like, what is the cost, right? It's no secret Lavine wants to play with the Lakers. He's talked about it. I mean, he's publicly talked about how he'd love to play with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? He's talked about how he wants to be a Laker. I mean, he's doing an interview in like the locker room wearing like a Laker hat or something like that, right? Was that a thing? Right? So like, he's clearly a guy that wants to play for the Lakers. He is a guy that would fit a big need for the Lakers, right? He's not a number one guy. He's not really a number two guy. I do think as like your third guy, he makes a world of sense. If you could work something out to where you could still make other moves and still make other deals, then I'm all for it. Or like if you could even get like an attachment, right? Like if like you took Zach Lavine, like like let's say Chicago was like, hey, we'll give you Zach Lavine, or we want you to take, let me rephrase that. So let's say the Lakers are like, hey, we would take Zach Lavine, right? But we want Alex Caruso. And let's say Chicago's like, okay, fine. Right? And let's say you had to give up like one first. You give up a first and you get Caruso and Zach Lavine. And let's say you trade whatever. You trade D'Lo and Gabe Vincent. Sign me up. Right? I mean, at that point, you could have Caruso come out the bench. You could have him start. You could do whatever. I mean, you could still go get DeJounte Murray if you want to do. And still go, like, imagine, like, DeJounte Murray, Zach Lavine, Alex Caruso at that point with LeBron and AD. And you have Vando off the bench. And then you have, like, Chris Paul, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, and Valanciunas as, like, your 10. Like, good luck. Again, it just depends on, like, how can you... Like, what can you use as leverage and how can you approach it? Again, I don't think them handing out at a clutch event is anything that's like, oh, Zach Lavine's coming to Lakers. Again, I think he is so far down the totem pole as far as like what the Lakers are looking for that I don't see him necessarily as like this guy that the Lakers are actively going after. But I do think if like all else fails, Zach Lavine could be an option. I think if all else fails, Zach Lavine could be a piece that you could bring in and maybe potentially kind of round out the roster. But again, it just kind of depends on the other circumstances, depends on the other pieces. But time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What did you think when you saw Zach Lavine hanging out with LeBron and AD? Was that something you were like, uh-oh? Or did you think like, no, it's just nothing. It's a clutch day, whatever. Do you think like that's a sign again? Because the same thing happened with Russell Westbrook and everyone thought it was nothing. And then all of a sudden, things picked up quickly. So just something to keep in mind. But anyway, again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.